Hi, so welcome to Golf FM. This is a review on the Ecco LT1. This came out this year, 2024, and as far as I was concerned, it was a lightweight version of an Eccos shoe, so a much lighter shoe than anything they had before, and had this new sole material which basically was a lot bouncier, a lot softer, a lot more responsive than other sole units. It comes in at about the same sort of price as an S3, about 160 to 170 pounds in the UK. It's leather, it's waterproof, and it's spikeless. So the first thing to say about it is looks. Looks are so dependent on what you like, and for me this is pretty safe, a little bit boring if I had to be honest, but some people just want a straightforward shoe, no frills, no showing off, no fanciness, nothing that anyone's going to slag them about or make a joke about. They're pretty good looking shoes, nothing really to dislike about them. They're quite a wide-ish footprint when you look down on them. They come in boa and they come in laced versions. I really like boa. If you've ever seen any of my other videos, I'm a real boa fan. I think it is a really easy, nice, reliable mechanism to tighten your shoes and far exceeds the ability of laces. Much neater as well. So looks wise, it is what it is. You might like it, you might not like it. What I suppose you need to know is how comfortable is it? How grippy is it? Is it good value? How does it stack up in the range next to the rest of the Eccos? And should you buy it ultimately? So with that in mind, I need to try it on. Also, I should say, I'll mention a little bit more about sizing for Eccos and go through some of the thoughts I have on how to choose the right size for you in this range as well. Right, so I've got the 42 on, which is an 8 in the UK, which would be a 9 in the US. Don't panic about the sizing. 42 is the European sizing, but it also says what it is in US on the box. So they feel quite wide in the forefoot, so they're not a narrow shoe. So they immediately feel very light and extremely comfortable. I am used to wearing C4s in the shop, Ecco C4s, which are heavier, more supportive, and I notice a big difference actually in these. These feel really, really quite light. Let's get a wee swing going. What a shot. Feels good. Feels still supportive. Doesn't feel as supportive in the arch as, let's say, the C4 does. Doesn't feel, the C4 really feels like you're not going anywhere. It feels solid and like you're not moving. But this feels, yeah, good. Feels light, soft. Doing a wee dance now. Yeah, feels really soft, but again, still supportive. That's actually a really good fit for me because there's actually quite a lot of space in the forefoot, and it's really kind of gripping me heel and middle of the foot, which is kind of what you want. You don't want a shoe really that's hemming your toes in and squeezing them in. You kind of want a bit of space for your toes to stretch out, because when you put your foot down, you know, your foot does widen when you place your foot down, and the main thing you should be looking for is that it's not slipping at the back, that it's tight at the back. When they're new especially, you don't want it slipping, because as shoes get bigger and stretch a little bit, and the leather's really soft in these, it gets inevitably a little bit bigger, and if it's slipping at all when they're new, you're just going to end up rubbing up and down the back of them and wearing out a hole in the back and ending up not getting as long out the shoes, them not being as comfortable, and you've just made a mess of it basically. So be careful. Get them certainly in the heel and the middle of your foot feeling reasonably snug when they're new. And your toes shouldn't really be pushing against the end in any way. That's a big no-no. But if they feel a little bit wider in the forefoot, don't be afraid of that. That's fine. They don't have to, you know, fit you like a glove. You want a little bit more room than that. Right. So they did feel really very, very comfortable, softer and kind of easier to get on with straight away than the likes of a C4, which is a lot more solid. That's a C4, and you've got all this kind of hard plastic in here which kind of holds your foot in place when you're swinging and provides a lot of stability. I think it's a great looking shoe. I mean, part of the reason I went for this is because of the way it looks compared to that. I would actually quite like the C4 to be as soft feeling as this and as light feeling as that, but it isn't and it can't be. But this is waterproof, it is not Gore-Tex, it is Hydromax, which is their own brand. There's little things in here, apart from this really soft, high quality leather. You've got the tongue design in Ecco where the tongue is actually stitched into the side so that the water can't just run in the side and get straight down into your foot. There's actually a barrier there where it'll kind of stay out of your actual sock area. Really soft around the collar there. And before I get on to fit, is there anything else that I need to say about this? Probably not. Just the sole design is just a variation of some of the other Ecco designs. I haven't found an Ecco sole unit yet that has been slippy or poor in any way. Even in wet conditions, even going down hills, I am completely confident with them all now. I used to get spiked shoes when I was still playing tournaments because I thought, well, I want the ultimate security that I'm not going to slip when I'm playing in a tournament. And I now would happily play in a tournament, if I ever actually did play in a tournament, with a sole unit like that, because I play all the time in them and I never even think about the fact that I might be slipping, wet or dry. So you can rest easy that you will get enough grip out of this. And the only thing you need to watch is that they're so comfortable, you start wearing them all over the place. And you don't take them off after golf and you go to the shops and you go wherever. You will wear them down quicker if you do that. If you just keep these for golf like you would a spiked pair of shoes, this grade of rubber will last a very, very long time. And in fact, the uppers will probably look worse and need replacing before this actually wears out. So I like it, but where does it fit in with the rest of the shoes? So you've got basically that one, and there is another one, and that one as well. I sometimes forget about this one because I don't sell a lot of it. Personally, because I don't really like the looks of it that much. Probably a perfectly nice looking shoe, but I just prefer this one and also the S3. This is kind of the one I sell the most of, not in black, in other colours as well. The S3's just been around for ages. This is the last couple of years. This has been kind of last 2 or 3 years as well. These two are Gore-Tex and so are a bit more expensive, and they've got other various bits and pieces. Like this has Gore-Tex Surround where it lets air in here and keeps your foot cool. So that's about more like 190 to 200 pounds, and this is similar. It doesn't have the Surround, it does have Gore-Tex. They're both really quite stable shoes, really, really stable if you want ultimate swing stability. A bit more heavy duty maybe. These are slightly lighter, and actually I want to make the point that I found this quite funny because I quite like weighing shoes just to make sure that I know where we are with them all. So I had to weigh exactly the same size to get exactly a comparable result. And the light one, which to me was in theory marketed as the lightest shoe, is 398 grams in a size 41, and the S3 was actually 387 grams in a 41, which is about a 7. So the S3 is actually fractionally lighter than the LT1. So I was very surprised to see that, and I did double check it to make sure that was the case. The C4 can hardly lift it, 437 grams. I mean, we're not talking huge amounts of difference here, and these are still light by olden day standards. So yeah, slight surprise there. The S3 is actually fractionally lighter than LT1. Don't understand what's going on with that. I think the only thing then, right, if they don't have this lightest shoe in the range angle to go on, then it needs to be that it's the bounciest, softest sole unit angle. And I think that is the case. The S3 is called the S3 because it's got 3 different firmnesses. Not a word, I know that. 3 different levels of softness in the sole unit. So you've got the firmest in the middle, I think second firmest in the heel, and softest in the toe. Might have got those other 2 round the wrong way. It doesn't really matter, but they've engineered it how they think best these grades of softness should work best. This is just soft all the way along and slightly bouncier and softer feeling than the S3, and I can attest to that. It does feel that way. But it just shows you how good the S3 is, that it is, even with the technology, it's Gore-Tex as well, that it's still basically the lightest shoe in Ecco's golf range. I did promise you I was going to talk a little bit more about sizing. Basically what happens in the UK is I'm a size 8, and well, I'll show you actually, for instance, I'll show you the Under Armour boxes. So this Under Armour box, you might not be able to see there, I'll show you close up. It says 10 in big writing, but then it says UK 9. So if you're a US 9, you need to buy a 42 in Ecco. But what I want to get into also is the intricacies of the designs once you get into the shoes, because they are different shapes. The S3 is a much more traditional shape. It's quite a narrow looking shoe compared to the LT1, but also the C4 and this H4 are the Biome Last, which is Eccos' laser scanned design from thousands of different foot shapes and into an average foot shape. So it actually looks slightly bent. It looks a slightly odd shape when you first see it compared to most shoes, whereas the S3 is kind of just straight down the line, tapers in at the end. This kind of bends. It's like a dog leg right or dog leg left on the left foot, on the right foot. Sorry, it's a little bit of a dog leg, but I mean, it's not that noticeable, but it is slightly, if you've never seen it before, it's slightly different. And that's supposed to just follow the contours of your foot, and I think the idea was that natural motion, to follow the natural motion of your foot and the natural shape of your foot, which makes perfect sense. What I find from that basically is that anything with the Biome Last is a little bit wider feeling, certainly in the forefoot, and I think that's what they've encouraged people to go for. Ecco is a bit more room in the forefoot. The S3's still got some room in the forefoot, but I would say it's a slightly narrower fit. There is, however, another level that you can go to with Ecco, and that involves the insole. Now, most shoes, when you take the insole out, it's just cork or it's plastic and it doesn't look very nice. But when you look in the inside of an Ecco, it's a completely finished look. And if I hadn't told you that I'd taken that bit out, you'd just think that was the insole. This still takes a bit of convincing for people when I'm in the shop. But what this provides is quite a lot of extra width, because it expands the volume, is what I should say, because it takes a layer out, and so your foot sits a bit lower and suddenly there's more width at the side of it, so it can be described as extra width. I also think it just makes the whole thing feel a bit bigger. It isn't just wider, it actually makes it feel even fractionally longer and bigger. So if you're really close to needing a little bit more, but the next size your foot feels like it's swimming around, then don't be afraid to do this extra width thing, because it is still very, very comfortable under here, really soft, proper finished insole underneath. Yes, when you put it back in, you're getting 2 layers of that, but as I say, if I hadn't told you it wasn't there, you wouldn't notice it. You wouldn't notice any compromise in comfort or anything. You're just getting a slightly more tailored fit, and it can be really perfect for some people, this. It can really, really help to just get the exact fit that you want. I suppose one of the keys if you're buying online would be, you know, if the smallest size you've chosen before is say an 8, then don't suddenly get one up in an Ecco, because if you got it and found, well, it's quite a neat 8, well then you've got scope to take the insole out and for it to still fit you. Also, the leather in these is really high quality, and it does expand slightly over the years. Yeah, you probably will have them for years. There's a 2-year guarantee actually on Gore-Tex products. So that's to do with the Gore-Tex membrane itself, that Gore-Tex offer a 2-year guarantee on that. So it's a pretty comprehensive guarantee, that. And Ecco shoes are just incredibly good quality. I very rarely get anything back, and when I do get them back, I quite often feel like actually they're not leaking. All that's happened is you've been in wet rough and it's been pouring with rain, and the slight issue of there being a big hole here and water dripping down your trousers, going onto your sock, and 4 or 5 hours of that has leaked into your sock and made your feet feel wet. So give them a chance. Usually if there's an issue with a waterproof shoe, it'll be one shoe is leaking, so you'll have one foot that's wet and one foot that isn't wet. That's a good sign that maybe there is an issue, and it does happen. I mean, they're not perfect, but it is rare. So, you know, where does the LT1 fit into all of this? Well, I would say it is a competitor for the S3. It's a little bit wider in the forefoot than an S3, so if you've got slightly potentially a fractionally wider foot, LT1 might be slightly better than S3. If you want the ultimate soft feeling Ecco and nearly the lightest, then this is the one to go for. There is still a good measure of stability in there. They have this thing called X tensor, which is invisible. There's structure built into these, so when you pull the laces together, it's giving you a good bit of stability in the middle of the shoe for when you're swinging and moving around. Not as much as these lads here, but they make a good fist of it. But yeah, I would say this is a slightly softer feeling version of an S3 and potentially a slightly wider feeling version of an S3, and maybe a little bit cheaper as well because it isn't Gore-Tex, and the S3 should be a little bit more expensive than this, although I don't think there's actually that much difference in the real world. So hope that helps. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.